Hi, I'm Rock, and welcome to Scott from Anthrax. How are you doing?
Hello.
There are so many stories about Anthrax, I don't know where to begin. Anthrax was a trendsetter in many ways. You created a new style of music, thrash metal, fast metal with melodic vocals. Can you remember how you created this style, or did it just happen?
I can't say that we actually had like a plan. We just tried our best to write songs, in the early days. Talking, like 81, 82, 83. We were just doing our best to write songs and have ideas. And we were big fans of Iron Maiden. So, and Priest and Motorhead and so, of course, so many other bands too. But in those early days, I think those influences, of course, were very clear in what we were doing, and it just felt right to us making this music that maybe we were playing aggressively, obviously, but we always wanted to have a singer.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was so important to us, rather than just having, because I was a massive Motorhead fan, and Lemmy's vocals back then were probably the most aggressive vocals, and a lot of bands kind of followed that type of thing, whether it was Metallica or, Slayer, a much more aggressive style of singing. But for us, for some reason, we always wanted to have a Bruce or a Halford or, someone like that, or Bon Scott. We wanted like a singer.
Yeah.
We thought that was right for our sound. And it just felt right. And it just, the music we were making, the music we were writing, it just felt like it needed that type of a vocal. So it's just how we felt about it. But it's not like we ever sat down and made a plan and said, we're going to play really fast and we're going to have melodic vocals and we're going to create something new. We never talked about it ever one time.
But you created a lot of things. There's another style.
We were just a really bad Iron Maiden is what it was, because we couldn't play so well in those early days, and even when we were covering Iron Maiden songs back then, let's say in 1981, we would play them too fast because we just couldn't keep the tempo right because we weren't very good. So I think sometimes a lot of the speed even came out of the fact that we just weren't very good yet as musicians. So which I guess you could say is kind of a punk rock thing in a way. Yeah, we were just like a really bad Iron Maiden when we first started, just trying to get better and better,
Okay, that sounds crazy. And you created another style of music, the crossover, because when you released the song I'm the Man in the 80s, it was the first time in music history that a band mixed rap and metal. Who had the idea to do this? Do you remember that?
Well, I mean, I wrote the song with my friend, and in my mom's apartment where I was still living back in like 85 or 86. We wrote that song, and but we were, well, three of us, Charlie and Frankie and I, we were really into rap music at that time, from Run DMC and like LL Cool J, and of course the Beastie Boys and Public Enemy. But with Run DMC, especially like early on, we were really, really into that. And so I'm the Man for us was just kind of our version of music that we were listening to quite a bit back then. We weren't rappers. Again, we weren't good at it. we were a really shitty Beastie Boys. But that was the point. When we wrote I'm the Man, we were trying to be stupid. When we were writing those lyrics, we were trying actually to write the stupidest words we could write just to make us laugh, because we were writing these words and we were laughing a lot, and that was the whole point of that song was to just have fun.
Okay. And Anthrax was even a trendsetter in clothing style.
So again, it comes down. No, everything is just trying to be stupid.
Okay, you wore.
We were not a trendsetter in clothing style. We wore shorts that everybody else wore where we lived. There was no. We were not trendsetters.
I think so, because no metal
I don't
band-
think so.
Okay.
I disagree.
Okay.
We just wore shorts that we wore all day long. That's to me, that's not trend setting. That's comfort.
But you brought this style into the metal
What?
society.
There's no style. There was no style. We were just
okay.
a bunch of kids from New York who wore shorts when it was hot out. It was nothing. There was no thought went into it. We just wore what we wore. I don't consider that trend setting or style or anything.
I collected some stories about Anthrax, and now I want to check out if all this stuff is true that you can read in the internet, what is fact or fiction.
Sure.
You had a rehearsal room next door to the guys of Metallica in the 80s. Is it right that you gave them a fridge and food because
Yes.
they had they went out of money?
Yeah, we had a rehearsal room in a place called the Music Building.
Yeah.
And when Metallica first came to New York in 1982, I think it was 82, maybe late 82, we had the same manager. And when he said Metallica was coming from San Francisco and he was getting them a room as well in the Music Building, and, could we help them out? And we just became friends as soon as they came to New York. So, yeah, they didn't have anything. They didn't have any money, and they were staying in a rehearsal room, and there was no showers or... it was just an old, shitty building with cold water running in the bathrooms. And so we and some of our friends would bring them to our houses so they could shower and get them food. And we gave them our toaster oven and refrigerator that we had in our room so they could use it, so at least they could keep things cold and cook things. And those are the early days.
Okay, interesting. Is it right that you broke into the Yankee Stadium and stole a foot mat?
It wasn't Yankee Stadium. It was their, I don't know how to explain it here, but it was their minor league stadium in Florida. It's the stadium where in the wintertime they go to practice and stuff like that. And they have a minor league team that plays there. So it was the minor league place in Tampa, Florida. Yes, but I didn't actually steal anything. I ran around like a drunk idiot, but I didn't actually steal anything.
Okay, so that's not true.
Whoa.
Oh, the GoPro.
Your
went
GoPro,
down.
a ghost just knocked it down. The ghost of George Steinbrenner, the Yankees owner, just...
Okay. In the early days, you had a demo tape and you gave it to John Zazula from Megaforce, your first label.
Yeah, that's who managed us and Metallica.
Yeah, is it right? But he didn't like it, right? Is it right that you recorded a new one within just 4 or 5 days and you gave it to him and then they loved it and you get signed?
No, I don't. It wasn't.
That's not true.
It wasn't just 4 or 5 days. We became friends with Johnny. And we would go hang out at his record store on the weekends. And anytime we would make a demo, I would give it to him. This is long before he had Megaforce. But once he got the Metallica No Life to Leather, and he was so blown away by it, and that's when he decided, I'm going to start my own label. The world has to hear this music. And we realized, we gotta hook up with this guy too. And so we would make demos whenever we could and give it to him, and he would always be critical, but not in a bad way, just giving his honest opinion of what he thought. And we respected Johnny's opinion because he knew a lot about the music, and then eventually, finally, we made a tape that he thought was good. Once it was when Charlie joined the band, and we made a demo that Johnny actually thought, well, this is great. This is the best stuff you guys have done. I'd like to sign you too.
You had a side project called Sode. It was a hardcore band, and this band was a very important part of the New York hardcore scene in the 80s.
We were fans of many New York hardcore bands, and that's why Sode became something, because we loved these bands like Agnostic Front and Cro-Mags and Adrenaline OD and AOD, whatever. So many bands that we loved in New York, Murphy's Law. And we just wanted to do something like that as best we could.
Yeah.
And that's why we did Sode, because we loved the New York hardcore so much.
Frag ihn mal, ob in dem legendären Club CBGBs gespielt hat. Do you know the club CBGBs?
No, I never heard of it.
No?
Okay,
I'm kidding. Yeah, who hasn't heard of CBGBs? That possibly, no offense, please don't take this the wrong way, but that might be the dumbest question I've ever been asked. So you win the contest.
Okay, so you played there.
That's amazing. Yes, it was. When I started going to hardcore shows there, they did. I started going in 1983. I think in late 1983, they had these things called the Hardcore Matinee. It was on Sundays in the afternoon, and they would have 4 or 5 bands playing during the daytime, in the afternoon on Sundays.
Okay.
And that's when I started going to shows. But the New York hardcore scene existed long before Sode or me going to shows or anything like that. I was just a fan of it.
Let's talk about the new record for the Kings. There's a lot of variety in this record. There's the epic song Blood Eagle Wings, and there are some fast songs. So I like the variety on this record. What do you think?
That's great.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
And the style is not so far away from the style of the 80s. So it's still up to date and the people like it.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, I don't analyze our records, so it's not something I do, but I'm happy to hear you say that. That's for sure. I think it's a great record. I love the songs we wrote.
Yeah. And is it right that Charlie, the drummer, is writing most of the songs?
Writing most of the riffs, yes.
And the
Yes.
guitar riffs.
Yes.
Also on the new record for the Kings?
Yes, for all Kings.
For all Kings,
Yes.
sorry. Okay. And in the studio, who's playing the guitar, Charlie or you?
Me.
You're playing the guitar.
I wish he would do it. It would make my life much easier.
Thank you very much for this interview.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm looking forward to your show tonight.
Me too.
This was Scott from NTracks on M-Rock.